What's up, warriors? Welcome back to the channel. This is a rather long video, so I split it up into two. It does cover the whole teardown and trim out. So if you like the video, please share, like, and subscribe. The second part will be in the description below. Thanks for watching. Okay, today we're going to be doing a maintenance on this Glock 17 Gen 5 by Umarex VFC. It tends to jam, and right now you can sort of see the slide having a hard time racking back. See if you can hear that. Okay, ready? I'm getting a lot of pressure back here. So the tools you're going to need are a pick tool, Phillips screwdriver. Number 2, an angled pick. Here's one that I modified. I blacksmithed it into an angle. You're going to need needle nose pliers. I need a flashlight, a hammer, some kind of hammer, and also some kind of wood. You need a container to catch, a container to hold and clean. This has solvent degreaser in it, PTFE lube, grease, and your silicone oil. You're also going to need some Q-tips, a rag of some kind. This is the fine file that I'm going to use also. We're going to field strip our gun. Okay. As I said in the previous video, these are some of the problems that 6 months of normal use creates the wear and tear. As you can see here, turn the light on. The bar, the trigger bar, is sitting real close, and when you press on it, you'll hear grinding. You'll also notice that there's a slight bend in the bar. When we take it apart, you'll see it. So first things first, we're going to take out the hammer assembly. The Phillips out first. Set it aside. Got my pin. We're gonna, well, we take this out, we're gonna hold our finger on this plunger over here so the spring that's in here won't fly out. Assembly comes out, you run your finger down to catch that spring so it doesn't fly away. As you see, my finger's still here and it's sliding down with the housing. Okay, I got the spring, and then you gotta kind of twist it out. Okay, so now I got the hammer out. Here's the spring. I want to catch that spring before anything else happens. I'm gonna stick the pick in here. Make sure that I grab it. Okay, I got it. Okay, I took the spring out. It's not going to fly nowhere. Here's my spring. Here's my plunger. Took that out. I'm not going to take the housing apart. I don't need to. But I will have to shave some edges out. As you can see here, it is nicked. It's nicked right here. And that causes some type of a catch on the slide. When the slide goes back, it hits it, and it keeps making that nick bigger and bigger. So after you take out the hammer assembly, we're going to take out the slide lock release. To do that, there's a spring in there. There's 2 springs. The one in the front is the one we're going to work on. The one in the back comes out later. So we're going to stick this tool in. We're going to press down on the spring. And as we're pressing that down, we're going to push down the slide lock and push it out. Still working down that spring. We're going to hit our pin to knock it out. Take that screw out. Take out the frame rail and or locking block. Take out the trigger bar assembly. Be careful, there's that spring that goes on the slide release. Here's the slide release, put that away. Take the spring off the trigger assembly. And if you can see this, you can see how it looks like it's bowed. This right here is bowing up this way, and this is twisted. Take our Q-tips, we're gonna start wiping off any grease, any excess oil. Take a rag and quickly wipe out any excess. We're gonna grab our internals. We're gonna take the trigger out because we don't want to dip this in solvent. We're gonna put this in solvent, but we're not gonna take this apart. So I'm gonna set this aside. I'm gonna grab the parts that I can put in solvent. Here's solvent degreaser. I'm gonna just drop it in there real quick. Shake it around. Take my acid brush. Drop my locking block in there. You can see the solvent getting dirtier. Slide release. This one's going to be quick. Here you go, that's it. I'm going to clean my trigger bar real quick. Just wipe it off. Okay. So we want to make sure that when we put this back in that it's going to be straight. So already we see this bow here, so we're going to unbow it. Okay, this is also bowed, so we're going to unbow that. We're going to take our pliers, bend it back. Frame rail. Over here, as you can see right now already, you can see this nick right here. From when the slide slides back, it keeps hitting here. So we're gonna fix that. We're gonna file it down. I'm gonna file it flat. Feel it. Look. Okay, so it's coming out good. Small stuff at a time. Feel up top. There's a little edge here, so I'm gonna. Okay, that's done. As you can see here, you see how thin the walls are here? Well, the screw, if you over tighten it, it eats up the walls. I'm either gonna have to drill a hole deeper and take a different screw that's also coarse to dig it deep into here. So that's what I did on the other one. Otherwise, this locking block is all loose. Now, hammer assembly. Wipe it down real quick. Right here you can see a little bit. So we're going to sand it. And as you can see, this was hit outwards. Okay, so we're done with this now. We're going to put PTFE grease. So we're going to put some here. Then where the bar goes, we're going to put it here because that's where the bar is rubbing on. That'll create that grinding noise. We're going to start putting it back together. So first things first, we're going to start with the trigger assembly. We're going to put the trigger assembly in first, and then we're going to put our small spring back on the slide release. Okay, here's a small spring. It goes in here. We'll put our slide back in. Make sure the spring goes into the notch. Boom. Align the trigger. You can put a pin in it right away. There you go. So you have nothing to worry about now. That's not going anywhere. So now we're going to get our locking block and or frame rail. I'm going to get ready to put it in. We're going to grab our trigger bar spring. That hook needs to be pointing upwards. That's how you know. Before we put it in, let's start adding a little bit of grease because it's easy for us to access. We're going to add the PTF grease here on the side. Trying to get a better view of it. The cylindrical notch, that's where the hook of this spring goes. So we're going to set the spring aside. It's out of the way so you can see. You can drop the block in. Alright, make sure it follows this angle. Make sure the slide is out of the way. Now, we're going to hold our spring, hook pointing up, pull the block out a little bit. Then you put the goddamn spring in the cylindrical. Get in the notch! After you got it on the notch, you drop the block. Boom. You're done with that part of the assembly. You can put your screw back in. You can put your screw back in. You can put your screw back. Get in! You take your Phillips and then you tighten it snug, nice and snug, because if you over tighten it, you have to do an extensive repair that will probably upset you. Boom, we're done here. So as you see here, it's not as bent as it was before. We're going to drop the hammer assembly in there real quick without the plunger and stuff, just to get a test fit. Make sure that piece of the bar goes in right here. Okay, see already, you see the spacing? That's some good spacing right here. That's what you want. Okay, we're going to take it back out. We're going to put a little bit of PTFE grease on here. We're going to put it on the side here because this rubs on plastic and we want as little bit friction as possible. We're going to grab our plunger, add a little bit of grease. We're going to stick it in. Giggity. So you grab your spring. We're going to stick a pin through it to make it straight. We're going to make sure that it's all straightened out. We're going to stick it in and slide it on. Okay, I got the spring in. Okay, now I'm holding the spring in and holding the plunger. I'm going to start to let go of this right side. Get the bar in place while holding the spring still. I've lost the spring already and I don't want to experience that again. The spring's still there. The bar is not going in. I'm having a bad day. Okay, bar's in. Spring's in, bar's in, everything's in. Test the plunger. Plunger's working. I'm going to stick our other pin in. I'm going to grab my locking pin. I'm going to hold this down again, push it out, put this in. Lower has been disassembled and reassembled and cleaned. Put our slide release back in and drop this spring right in there. We're gold, guys. We're gold. Take our 90 degree. Stick that in there, press it down. We're going to hold it. We'll grab our... I'm going to look for the old mark. That tells us where the circle's at, because that's how we know which way's forward. So this way's forward. Okay, we're going to look inside. Is that spring still set in place? The spring is set in place. Both springs are set in place. So we're good. Now when we press this down, you don't hear grinding. I'm going to add a little bit of PTFE grease on the side where the metal rubs, right here, right here, right here, on here. All right. Don't forget that screw. Finish adding grease. I'm going to wipe off any excess. Okay, that works. Okay, that works. There you go. Now we're going to add some silicone oil in the housing because we degreased it, so we need to re-grease it. Lower is done. Cleaning, maintenance is done. Lower. Now we're going to do the upper, and then we're done.